So why did Cognism want to sort of change focus then? Was there a sort of particular thing or point that led you to sort of think, actually, we want to shift the focus then from lead gen to demand gen then?
Yeah, I mean, we were kind of like, we were listening always to the chat that's going on LinkedIn about lead gen, demand gen, specifically following Chris Walker, who is obviously like at the forefront of like this whole movement that he's basically created. So we were always listening into that and like sort of paying attention because, arguably you can't argue that it doesn't make sense. Like it obviously does. It's like there's a lot of sense to it. And in fact, we actually invited him on a webinar where we got Alice to debate him about how the ebook wasn't dead. And then obviously now we've reversed entirely on that. So, yeah. So it's kind of like a journey for us as well. But it got to the point where we were running a lead gen system and we were generating like thousands of leads from content downloads. We just got really good at it. Like we're getting like $9 cost per leads on LinkedIn. We were optimize it to like the best that we possibly could. And and the content we were creating in those ebooks was still good. So, but we could see when we split out the funnel that the content leads, that's what we call them. Sorry. So the content leads that we got, or the lead gen leads, weren't sort of like converting down into revenue. And we always had the benefit that we were like as a marketing team, we were targeted on revenue. So that was always the outlook. That's what management wanted for us. That's what they were looking for. So we were always like then breaking down, like, how do we make that number bigger? And when you split out between the direct inbounds, people who come in and submit a demo, and those that submit a content lead, or like download a piece of content, you can see that, those people aren't going on to like close one. It's not providing us any value. And we got to the point that we were creating so many leads that we had at that time, we were like MDRs, like SDRs that only pick up our marketing leads. That we were creating so many leads that if we were to continue this model, we would need to get another MDR in the team. And then you have to beg the question. So this system is really inefficient. We're like, our close one, it's like from lead to close one is like 0.2%. And then you've got like an inbound is like closing at 20%. Why am I focusing on this system, and why? And by adding an extra MDR into that, you're increasing like marketing CAC, and everything goes up. So we started to think to ourselves, right, so we need to have like a different way of looking at this. We've got a different way of approaching it. But obviously that's where that all born from. And then there's obviously like the rest of the story after that, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah. And when it's interesting, you talk about splitting the funnel then. So that's essentially, a lot of companies think about MQLs as MQLs. You're talking about actually looking at the source of those MQLs and splitting them between actually the lead gen stuff that you're creating, i.e. somebody filling out a form for a piece of content, versus actually somebody coming into the website as I'm interested in a demo of your particular product. You were splitting those two out then, and then treating them as separate paths almost, and seeing how they map out in terms of conversion rates, basically.
Right, exactly. So I think it all comes down to like all MQLs aren't created equal, as people say. So you have to, like, as soon as you accept that, then you can split them out. So what you're actually doing is just splitting out people on intent. You're just splitting out the people who say, hey, I want to buy. And so we split it out in 3 different ways. Like direct inbounds, people who come direct to the website, fill out the demo form. Paid inbounds, people that we're collecting probably like through like a paid activity, like submit a demo on LinkedIn or Google Ads. And then it was like a lead gen form for a piece of content. Now, obviously, the inbound has the greatest amount of intent at that point, because they're coming looking directly for you quite often. So then that's where you've generated the most demand. And then in that paid, although they're coming to submit a demo for you, they're potentially looking at a load of other people as well. Hence why you've caught them in that capture. You've captured the demand at that moment. And then obviously your lead gen forms are just people exchanging their contact data for a piece of content, which has no intent to buy your product at all. So actually what you do after that is just an outbound motion, right? You're just calling them up and pitching to them.
And it just goes into a folder on somebody's email that doesn't necessarily get read sometimes.
Exactly. So then each of those types of lead or MQL are completely different. And so you have to treat and measure them differently.